Welcome back to the Tax of the Trav YouTube channel, guys. So in this one, we're playing black, and white just moved B3. So with B3, let's do material count first before we dive deep into this. So I have 6 pawns. White has 6. We each have our queen, 2 rooks, and a bishop. So material is equal. With B3, they're trying to stunt out this checkmate here. Or it wouldn't have been checkmate, but then king's going to go here and have to flush out to d2. So that's what they're doing. But let's dive deep into this now. So with b3, one thing to take notice of, guys, positionally, is that our rook has the open file. So that's going to help stimulate any attack that's going to happen here on queen side. So because of that, I instantly am looking at rook sacking on c2, because we might have enough firepower to make this happen. So if rook takes c2, king takes c2, let's say, then we have queen takes a2 check. And he can't go to d2 because he's got to get out the second rank. So if he goes back to, say, c1, king c1, then we have this rook coming over to c8 with check, and he's going to get mated, because then king goes back to, well, that is mate. That is checkmate. So, well, technically, no, it's not checkmate. White could interfere with bishop to c4 in that line. So we need to calculate what we do there. So what we're looking at is rook sacking on c2, king takes back on c2, and queen takes a2 check. And if white goes back to, say, c1, king c1, then we have this rook over to c8 check, and white could interpose and interfere their bishop on c4. Bishop takes, or bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes, check. And if you notice, guys, I always calculate this out. I don't make any moves, because in the real tournament game, you're not going to be able to do that. So it does you justice. It serves you best to try to calculate all of it in one branch, 2 branches, 3 branches, however many branches you can do. So in that line, white ends up still getting checkmate. So after bishop comes here to interfere, we take, and let's say the pawn takes. We don't know if he will, but let's say that b3 takes c4 to retake our bishop. Then this rook takes, this rook technically, because this rook got sacked, takes back on c4 with check. Still not technically mate. Queen comes over, then we mate him. Queen comes to c3, and then rook takes c3, checkmate. So that's, let's calculate that. So just to show you how I do these puzzles, that's one branch. So that's 1, 1, because it's my move, their move, so that's one move. And then I have 2, which is the queen taking on a2. And then the other 2, the second move for white is going to count for the second move. So we're assuming king c1. We're just playing around, so that's 2. And now we're just doing this rook over, so that's 3. And then we're assuming bishop comes here, so that's 3. We take, bishop takes, b takes, that's 4. Rook takes, that's 5. Queen comes here, that's 5. That's a 5 move checkmate if the king takes back on c2 and all those things happen. So that's why we got to calculate all these different branches, because They may not do that one line. They may not even interpose the bishop. They may not even take back on c2 with the king. So we got to calculate all these things. So starting from the top, now we have one branch aside. Put that in, compartmentalize your brain. So now it's one compartment. So now we have rook takes c2. This is the second branch. King takes c2. Queen takes a2 check. And let's say he doesn't go to c1 like we calculated in the first branch. Let's say he goes, because it has to be ironclad in all variations to make the rook sacrifice make sense. Let's say the king goes to d3. Then we have king or queen takes b3 check. So he goes king e2. That's what I would do. I try to run away this way. If he goes king e2, then what? Then we can go bishop here. Bishop c4 check, which also helps get our bishop out of the way because it's on pre from white's rook. I just don't know if we have enough though, because if he starts squirting out this way, I don't know if we have enough guys to checkmate white. So I don't know if I like that so far. Just because this rook in this variation didn't come over in this branch that we're calculating didn't come over. So I don't know if we have enough firepower. So let's start from the top on this second branch, because I'm not sure I like it so far the way I've gone forward with it. Rook takes c2, king takes c2, queen takes a2 check, king d3. I don't want to take here. I want to bring this rook over to bring more guys in. I think that's what it is. Rook over, this rook over. And the nice thing about king on d3 is it keeps this bishop from being taken from this rook because the king's in the way. And it also, we still keep, I think what's key about keeping the queen on a2 in this line is we keep white from getting back. We cut off the entire second rank from white's king. So now we're kind of like ensnaring him, like a mating net. So now with rook over, we're looking to checkmate white with queen to c2. Yeah, because it'd be checkmate. So because of that, white is going to have to play in this branch rook to c1 to eliminate this c2 square from our queen being able to checkmate white. But when that happens, then I think we're going to take on b3 with check. I think we have to relinquish the second rank. Potentially. Maybe. Queen takes b3 check. We got to keep the checks going. Because this queen defends the rook on c1, just in case you're wondering. So queen takes here, check. Then he gets back here. Then king comes over to e2. Well, maybe bishop here now. Bishop to c4 check. And then let's just say he goes to f2. Looks like he's getting out. Oh, that's fine. That's fine, guys. I think. Because now queen takes here. Queen takes e3 check. King takes. And this rook is now no longer defended by that queen. So then this rook can come down and take it. Ah, that's genius. That's good. Because now you're thinking, oh, well, this bishop's hanging. No, it's not. Because this bishop is pinned to this rook. So now the bishop can't take here because my rook would take this rook on h1. Oh, that's good. That's super deep, guys. Let's calculate that out. I'm kind of impressed here at 5 o'clock in the morning that I'm seeing this. But I did have 2 cups of coffee, so maybe that's why caffeine always helps. So rook takes c2. Remember, this is the second branch. Rook takes c2. King takes c2. That's 1. Queen takes a2 check. And we're not going back to c1 because that was the first branch. Now we're saying he goes to d3. That's 2. Now we're going to go this rook over. That's 3. And because of that, white doesn't want to get checkmated, so they got to bring their rook to c1 to cut off the c2 square. Otherwise, queens come to c2, and that's going to be checkmate because we're cutting off the second rank with our queen that's on a2. So that's going to be 3. And now we're looking at here. Queen takes here. Queen takes b3. Because remember, the king is now blocking the queen, which can no longer defend the b3 pawn. We've already wiped out that c2 pawn, so that's 4. Let's say he goes here. We're calculating that he goes to e2. That's 4. And now we're saying bishop here. Bishop to c4, that's 5. And if king here to, say, e2, well, it wouldn't really matter if it's e2 or e1. In either case, we're going to take the queen here with check. So that's 5. Is that 5 or is that 6? I think it's 5. 5. King takes, so it's 5. Now we take this rook. That's 6. That's 6 moves. And this bishop that would be our bishop on c4 is actually not hanging because this bishop is pinned, or this rook is pinned by this. Bishop is pinned to the rook. So that's 6. That's a 6-move calculation, guys, as to why in this second branch, if king squirts out to d3, we need to go rook over to c8. Because remember, I didn't feel like we had enough, and we don't. If we try to do it with the queen and the bishop by themselves, we got to get this rook involved. That's feeling really strong right now, guys. Like even if like there's a move in that where maybe the king doesn't go to d3, maybe it goes to well, let's just calculate that real quick. I'm thinking even if it's a little bit different, right? This rook sack on c2 looks really good because we have enough guys to checkmate white. If we play the sequences right, we got to bring this rook over. I just think it doesn't really matter what white does here. We just have too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the move and see what Licha says. My computer went to sleep because I'm taking so long on this puzzle. Okay, so b3, we're looking at rook sacking on c2. Let's see what it says. Yep, that's right. Okay, king took on c2. And now, as we've calculated, queen takes a2, check. See what it says. Yep, okay, so the king went to d3, guys. So this is that second line that we calculated. Because remember, the first line, we're like, well, what if he goes back to c1? This rook comes over, and it's pretty much game over the next 2 moves. So this is the more challenging sequence. Now with king to d3, we calculated rook over to c8. Because with rook to c8, look at these squares. This one, this one, this one, and this one are all taken away by my pawn and my bishop. So now we need to threaten to checkmate white's king here on c2 with queen to c2. So we need to support it with rook over to c8. And then we're expecting, after rook to c8, the rook here to come here. But then that's where we move forward to the calculation. Queen takes b3, and then you saw what we did. So rook to c8. Yep. Okay. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, an unexpected move. So instead of going rook to c1, the queen came to d2 to protect the square. So I don't think that changes anything. This is what I was saying. Even if a move is a little bit different, it felt so good to sack on c2 because of just the amount of pressure we're putting on white, and we're going to get compensation for this. Even if it's something where like, okay, I didn't see queen to d2, but it's still worth the sacrifice because we know there's something there. So now we're still going to take, like we were calculating with rook to c1, we're still going to take queen takes b3 and keep the checks going. Queen takes b3, check, and yeah, that's good. Because if king goes to e2, then we have this pin, rook to c2, pinning the queen to the king. So let's just see if white can do anything after queen takes b3 except for going to d2. I think he has to go to d2. Or e2, rather. He has to go to e2. There's nowhere else to go. So queen takes b3. That's it. All right, guys. So that brought me up 28 points. I was at 2551 puzzles rating on chess.com, or not chess.com. This is on Lead Chess. This is pulled. What I like about these Lead Chess puzzles is they're pulled from real games. So that's one thing I've noticed. Chess.com puzzles are great too. I like both, but these ones are pulled from real games. So this is from a 10-minute rapid game between two 2,000 rated players. Actually, one's a 2,100. So I like these puzzles for that reason. So, all right, guys, my rating will now be, my puzzles rating is going to be 2579. So pretty good, moving on up. So, all right, guys, moving on to the next.